So short answer, no. But long answer is there have only been 2 people in recent history that I can say have amassed their $1 billion. Pretty dang, like not like perfectly ethically, but like pretty ethically, okay?
Okay.
So today we're going to explore some of pop culture's most prominent female billionaires and discuss how they have managed to garner massive amounts of wealth in relatively short periods of time. I decided to focus on women who also happen to be billionaires because hashtag girl boss, but also because I think we just talk about men a lot. And all of the women that I will be discussing today did not come from quote-unquote old money. So there's a lot of billionaires or multimillionaires who their parents were already pretty rich before they even existed.
In Exhibit A, we have Jeff Bezos, who received a small loan of $245,000 from his parents in 1995, which in today's money would be worth approximately $469,000, almost $500,000.
So their wealth is not really self-made. They just kind of expounded on what was already there.
That's my opinion!
But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this video. So it's defined by Merriam-Webster as a set of moral principles, which essentially leaves the definition of ethicality up for debate, up for personal interpretation of what you personally think is morally right, because everybody's morals are different. But in my opinion, I think that something is ethical when it does little to no harm as possible. Like, there's nothing that we do as humans that does no harm to our environment or those around us. Like, just by existing, we are already bad for the earth. Especially when it comes to money, I don't think that someone ethically built their business from the ground up when they didn't pay their workers fairly, they utilized, child labor or factories that there's no transparency in their supply chain, or they were just terrible people in general. Like, at least if you're a rich person, at least like be a good person, like I feel like you gotta pick a struggle. You can't be rich and have bad vibes. Like you gotta one or the other. So to do this, I made up a ranking system so that it's kind of like a fun game. I decided to have 3 categories: how, who, and why. The how category will be based on how they amass their wealth. The who category will have to do with who they built this wealth off of. And the why category has to do with whether I think that they are a good person or not. This is the most relative and biased category that I made up.
Obviously.
And it is purely based off of vibes. And then each category will have a score out of 7 points, totaling to 21 points for that entire person. So we will start with my fave, Taylor Swift, because I will do anything to bring up Taylor Swift.
I will do anything to bring up Selena Gomez.
Just kidding, but not really. More recently, Taylor has been the subject of a lot of discourse online, as she usually is because she's very famous, but more specifically because Forbes released an article a couple months ago talking about how after her latest tour, the Eras Tour, she could potentially become a billionaire. And starting off with a how, I would give Taylor 7. To be honest, Taylor has amassed her music, I meant to say amassed wealth, in one of the most ethical ways that I think anyone can amass wealth. Like, when you listen to music, you don't have to pay to listen to music, but the artist still earns money off of that. And I think it's a very ethical job in general, because like you are not really hurting anyone by making music. Like, there's no harm done. And then in terms of who, Taylor has largely built her wealth off of herself and marketing all of these different personas that she creates. But the ethicality of her merch leaves a lot of questions unanswered. Only a couple of the items that I have actually say where they're made, and the other items have no information. The one item that I looked at that actually said where it was made in China. And I don't know about you, but China is not necessarily what comes to my mind when I think of ethicality. In terms of who, I would give Taylor a 4. And finally, in terms of why, I think Taylor's a good person. If you couldn't tell, I think she has good vibes, okay? I love her. Me and Taylor, we're like this, okay? See you May 14th, okay, if you're watching this, which is very unlikely. But in the why category, I give her a 7. So totaling up all of her points, we get a nice whopping 18 out of 21, which gives her a 85% ethicality score by me, Marianakebaso. And now that we're done with Taylor, we're going to talk about one of the biggest media tycoons, Oprah Winfrey. Oprah is that girl, okay? She was the first Black woman in the United States to ever host their own television show, like have their own series on television. So in terms of how, I would give her 7 just based off of that factor alone. Like, she pioneered Black women in media. And in terms of who, Oprah has really only built her wealth off of herself. And the only thing I could put on her is her love of books with her book club, because, you know, books, to make a book, a physical book at least, you have to cut down trees, and then, you know, cutting down trees is not good for the environment. But I can't really ding her on this because I myself love reading, and it's one of the things that like makes living worth living for me. So I'm not gonna ding her on it because I don't ding myself on it. I love books. What about it? So I would give her a 7 as well. And in terms of why, I would also give her a 7. Like I explained, Oprah has been a trailblazer for Black women in media, and she just seems like she has really good vibes. I love that she is, even though she's older, like she's definitely taken a step back from like being the forefront of media, but in my opinion, anyone who supports Harry and Meghan is a good person automatically. So like that's all I have to tell you guys. So, and that puts Oprah with a final score of 21 out of 21, and that makes her our first ethical billionaire on this list. Don't fight me, guys, okay? But I actually think that like she's kind of an ethical billionaire. Okay. Now going into Rihanna, how has Rihanna, everybody knows who Rihanna is, I don't need to do an introduction for her. Rihanna has mainly garnered her wealth, or she reached billionaire status with the launch of her clothing line, and now, or was it makeup that got her a billionaire? I think it was her makeup line that made her a billionaire, and then she also founded a clothing line, and now she has a skincare company as well. So in terms of that, I would give her 7 points. She has amassed her wealth pretty ethically. I mean, music, makeup, and clothing, they're pretty ethical in general broad terms. But then when we look at the who, so Rihanna has built her wealth mainly based off of music and also kind of unethical factory labor. This is because there has been no supply chain transparency in her clothing line, which automatically dings it down on ethicability, because if similar to Taylor Swift, like if I don't know where the clothing is made, who is making it, are they making a living wage, are they, you know, getting breaks, are they actually being paid every so often, you know, incrementally, all of those things when you think about factory workers. So in terms of that, I'd give her 4 points. And why I like Rihanna, I think she seems like a good person. Like, she's done some questionable things in the past, but overall I would give her a 6 because she's that girl. Okay, so that would give Rihanna a score of 17 out of 20 with rating score by marianakebaso. Oh, I forgot to do that for Oprah, but whatever, it's fine. Now, moving on to Beyonce. She has mainly built her wealth, amassed her wealth through music and clothing. I don't know which one was it to get her to the billionaire status. Is she a billionaire? I don't actually think Beyonce's a billionaire. I think she's almost a billionaire, similar to Taylor, but she's like known as, I think her Jay-Z, her husband, is a billionaire, so that kind of makes her a billionaire by proxy, right? I think, I don't know. But in terms of music and clothing, 6 out of 7. There's nothing really wrong with it except for the fact that clothing can be made unethically. Music, however, in my opinion, not really. And who has Beyonce built her wealth on? She has built her wealth off of, one, a slightly unethical partnership with her clothing line, Ivy Park. That partnership that her clothing line had with Topshop back in 2016. The Ivy Park no longer has this partnership with Topshop, and is instead now partnering with Adidas, which I would say that Adidas is one of the better like fast fashion brands. So I like that she went with Adidas, because obviously Beyonce probably could have gone with any, you know, fast fashion clothing company to house her clothing line at, and she chose Adidas, so I like that. So in terms of that, I'd give her a 5 out of 7. And finally, in terms of why, vibes, Beyonce has amazing vibes. I love her. That's my girl. See you in May as well. May is a busy month for me, as you can see. So totally, we give Beyonce 18 out of 21, which gives her, again, 85% ethicality rating by me, marianakebaso. Finally, we got Mackenzie Scott. Now, how did Mackenzie Scott amass her wealth? From a divorce settlement. I don't think Mackenzie Scott has ever worked a day in her life. Oh, okay, so apparently she was like, she was a executive in Amazon, or like a higher up there, and she helped build the business. Yeah, so she got her money from the divorce settlement with Jeff Bezos, and that's how she like got like a lot of money very, very quickly. So who did she build her wealth off of? Really no one. I mean, I guess you could say that she built her wealth off of the Amazon workers and the hell that they've been through. So in terms of that, maybe I should take off a couple points for that. I actually didn't think about that until right now. So yeah, so in terms of that, I think we'll give her a 4 out of 10. If she was an executive, I mean a 4 out of 7. If she was an executive, she should get 2 out of 7. But if she wasn't an executive and she was just Joe Bezos' husband, Jeff, whatever his name is, 4 out of 7. And in terms of why, 7 out of 7. She's an amazing philanthropist, and she's probably actually one of my favorite billionaires. Like, I know we're not supposed to have favorites. Like, I know it's supposed to be like Eat the Rich or whatever, but like she's my favorite. Okay, like when the guillotine is out, I'm gonna ask you guys to spare her. Okay, don't eat, please. So in total, Mackenzie Scott gets a nice solid 21 out of 21, 100%, because she is the second billionaire that I think has amassed her wealth pretty ethically. And yeah, that's it for this video. I'm done. I need to leave. I'm sorry. I'm kidding. But I hope you guys enjoyed me talking all about billionaires and who I think is an ethical billionaire and all that stuff. And comment down below what you think about all the people that I talked about and who you think is ethical. Maybe you have another perspective or something to add that I might have missed in my research and me talking about this. But yeah, without further ado, I will see you guys. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe down below. I will see you guys next week for a new video. Bye!